G'day everyone, today I'm going to teach you how to win the Russian Civil War, maybe 90% of the time. The method I'm going to show you is for bringing back the Tsar, but the principles in this also work for the alternate Soviet pathways as well. This is also the path that you need to take if you want to get the Romanovs Laugh Last achievement, so we're going to cover that as well. Just firstly though, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to see when I post new ones. Also, feel free to check out all my other guides and videos that are linked down below. So the achievement reads, restore the Romanovs to the throne and conquer Germany, Hungary, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Turkey, and Bulgaria. What the game defines as conquering, meaning you just need to control the states that each of those countries' capitals is in. So Ankara, you need to control this state, Sofia, also Budapest or Northern Hungary, Lower Austria, Bohemia, and Brandenburg. So those are the states that you need to control. The other thing that you need to do, you need to go down the right path here, and you need to have completed this focus, which gives you the event, the return of the Tsar. Basically, to make that whole process a little bit easier for you, what we're going to do, the first step will be justifying on Turkey. This will also give you Romania as well, because Romania guarantees them, as you can see here. So as soon as we have 50 political power, which is what we need to justify a war goal, we will do that. Simultaneously, at the same time as we're justifying on Turkey and preparing for that, we are also going to go through the Russian Civil War process. So basically what you want to do first of all, you want to go for embrace the Black Hundreds as fast as possible. So this unlocks on-map decisions to infiltrate states. Yeah, this is the very first thing you need to rush through to as fast as possible. Out of these focuses, it doesn't matter which one of them you do initially. Ideally, you want to complete them all before the Civil War fires, but we'll get into that a little bit later. For your research slots, I always go through and research your industry techs first. I would very much avoid researching any of these techs that are going to make your troops more effective, because it's also going to make the Soviet troops more effective, which is not something you want when the war starts. In terms of your industry, just start doing like civilian factories in your high infrastructure states as you usually would. With your production, basically just have your production set up as normal at the start of the game. Just for the sake of ease, I'm going to delete the naval production. You can continue with this if you want. It's entirely optional. It's like not vital. For your army, navy, and air force setup, basically I divide them up like this. So we've got our tank army just on a fallback, like just basically move them to this port, have all of your cavalry on this port, and then with your mountaineers, you're going to move them down here and have them set up on a naval invasion order of Turkey. So we've got 3 divisions going to each of the ports and 2 divisions going to either side. You can use the cavalry to do this naval invasion as well. Honestly, half one does the other really. It's just use whatever you prefer. And then basically split up the rest of your divisions. Have half on the Romanian front, just on a frontline order, and have the other half on the Turkish front, also on a frontline order. It's important to not move your fleet out of the Black Sea. Just exercise them and then have them on naval invasion support. And then with your air force, of course, don't forget to exercise them, but just split your attack bombers between both theaters, half your fighters in each. When the Civil War starts, you're going to lose access to pretty much most of the generals that you have. So don't worry about trying to grind low level ones. Just use all of your best generals to make this go through as quick and easy as possible. You will have the option to set up the secret headquarters in Cheetah, which we will do. Don't spend any of your political power until you get that justification started. It's already going to take 250 days. Doing it as early as possible, your justification will be done around October. Then from here, you want to save all of your political power. Don't forge the satisfactory production reports just yet. You set up the secret headquarters once you're able to. But yeah, otherwise save your command power and your political power. Again, with your research, just keep going down your mechanical computing and your industry. Whenever you get these decisions pop up that give you an option to reduce political paranoia, always take the one which decreases paranoia by the highest amount. Okay, so embrace the Black Hundreds is done, and then next go for approach Semenyov. Yeah, from there you can basically come down and do. You can basically come down here and do any of the focuses except for this one, because that fires the civil war. So come down, I think like getting the Old Guard and the Fascist Youth Union are really good. Also this one, which gives you equipment at the start of the war, and this one gives you more units. So these 4 are really good, but also these 2 focuses too. So basically try to get all of these ones. I personally don't go for Organize the Wreckers or the Manchuria Railway until I want to trigger the Civil War. So now we've done Embrace the Black Hundreds, we can go through the Civil War mechanic. So what happens is you've got your political paranoia scale. Once this gets over 70, there's a chance that the Civil War may fire. Once your paranoia percentage gets over 90, then it's pretty much going to fire at any moment. So you kind of want to keep this as low as possible until you're ready for the Civil War. If you go into your decisions tab, you can see that around where our headquarters was set up, we've got these options to infiltrate states. So basically that for a cost of political power and I think 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and a small amount of political paranoia increase, you can actually secure any of these states so that when the war starts, they'll be under your control. Now, Stalin is also going to try and secure some of these states. So once you get the option to start securing these, you basically want to go for it and try not to waste any time. The method I like to use is I like to go for basically all around the Far East, around Vladivostok. I like to come down here and secure that. And then I come up across to like Siberia and try to secure all these really large states. Basically what you want to do is end up on like a consolidated front line. If you can imagine, we want to secure all of this. And then once we're sort of, you know, parallel, or I guess we have a line here, we want to start securing the states across and taking the larger ones first. Another quirk, I guess, for the Civil War mechanic is you can only secure a state adjacent to one you've already got. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, so you have these decisions here. Dismiss the counter-revolution. I would avoid taking this decision because it's a lot of political power for potentially a very small return on decrease in paranoia. You can forge the production reports. I save this until you sort of get to around 50 or 60% paranoia. You also have these options to get foreign aid. Untick all of those. We don't need anyone's help. We're doing this independently on our own. So we're going to start securing these states. Try not to forget these. Like if you leave it even like a month or so without securing any states, it's going to make your life incredibly difficult. And again, anytime these options pop up, don't worry about how weak it makes you. Always take the decision, which is going to reduce paranoia by the most. Just jumping in here as well, I generally don't bother with infiltrating North Sakhalin. It's 15 political power just for 3 provinces, and you can easily just send a cavalry division there at the start of the war to take it. And also for the first Moscow trial, that's going to massively decrease your paranoia. Just going back to the approach Semyonov decision, once you complete that, you'll see that there are the option to recruit cavalry. You want to do this, but not yet. It costs you command power, and that's also why you didn't want to be spending it earlier. However, it also increases political paranoia. And at the start, when you're trying to secure, you know, as many of these like states as you can, you kind of want to avoid increasing it faster than possible. Once you get a little bit higher as well, sometimes you might just need to wait just to let your wait for a decision to pop up that's going to reduce your paranoia. And another thing too, if your civil war goes off now by accident, just restart. It's not worth struggling through. We basically want to have at least secured the states across to level with Tanatuva before the civil war starts. So our war goal is done against Turkey. So we will declare, and as you can see, we'll also be at war with Romania. Activate your battle plans because you want them to go straight away. And huge thing here, which I always forget, you want to delete these fallback lines. Make sure your Air Force is active and turned on. Make sure that your Navy is on. You also simultaneously need to keep an eye on your securing state decisions. And you can see that we are going to make progress pretty much instantly. We've got all of our best generals. Our troops are exercised. Okay, so now all of our troops have landed, and we're going to draw a field marshal order and have them just aggressive attack across the whole country. Select a couple of your divisions as well, and just have them go to Istanbul. And again, don't forget to keep infiltrating your states while you're doing this. And there we go. So that is Turkey done. Now, we need to have control of Ankara, so that's the first state we're going to take. We are actually going to set up a bit of a puppet state as well. Also, the reason you want to set up a puppet state here is obviously eventually you're going to be at war with the Axis, and you don't want to have to worry about defending all of this land that Italy and Germany are eventually going to have I guess like a avenue to attack you from. Now we can just put our entire army over to finish off Romania. You can see here Stalin's actually secured this state here, meaning we can't secure it ourselves, and that's going to be in his control once the war starts, regardless of what we do. And there we go, we've got Romania. So as I said, we are going to puppet pretty much all of it. We are also going to take their factories in terms of war reparations. At this point, what you want to do is select all of your divisions and delete them. So you can't delete those guys. We're just going to pop them on a frontline order over here. Now we've got like 90,000 guns in stockpile, and we have all this equipment here. Okay, so you can actually see here our paranoia is at 67%. We don't have any decisions that we can take to reduce it. We can dismiss the counter-revolution. We are not going to do that though, because you can see here, this is the decision. Saved by the bell. I was going to say this one here, the anti-Soviet Trotsky Center, that's what Stalin is doing right now. And that is a great purge event, which you can see by the tooltip. And that will decrease your political paranoia by like 50. There we go, second Moscow trial. That reduces our paranoia by a bunch. Now, this sometimes pops up. Japan justifying a war goal. Don't really know why this comes up, but they never actually declare on you, so don't get stressed out by it. And then here again, remember how I said you want to encircle any states that Stalin secures? That way he can't really have any troops in here, or if he does, they'll be out of supply. The second Moscow trial has gone through. Our political paranoia is really low, and we're kind of at a point almost level with Tanatuva that we want to be. So you can actually start taking these recruit cavalry decisions. But yeah, now you can basically just start going ham. Oh, see, this is what I mean. This is a nice big juicy state that we get control of. Now, at this stage, our political paranoia is at 70%. And we kind of want this one to finish, but once it does, we are pretty well good to go in terms of the civil war. What I want you to do at this point, remember all of that beautiful, juicy equipment that we've got in our stockpile? Come over to Spain. Doesn't matter which one, but Republicans usually the go. What we're going to do is lend-lease all of our stuff to them. And then once the war starts, we can cancel the lend-lease and we'll get it all back. You don't want to do this too early because they'll actually start to receive some of the equipment, and that's not really what you want. There's also a trick to... Oh, wow, I didn't even know you could separate that. That's really interesting. There's also a way to do it where you lend-lease them the largest equipment and the stuff that you don't want first. Because the way it works is the larger the equipment, I think it's based off production cost potentially, but if you just imagine the larger the equipment, the more convoys they need to actually receive it. Cool. Now at the end, you should be left with all of the guns. These are the things that you really want to have. So always add them to the lend-lease last. So send that off, they'll accept, and then come into your production tab and cancel all of your production lines. Because that is again going to reduce any equipment that the Soviets will get at the start of the war. Basically at the start of the war, any equipment that's in your stockpile will be split. So lend-leasing it all to Spain and denying it to the Soviets is going to give you such a huge advantage. Now, we could do this one, and it will basically send off the Civil War straight away. We're actually going to go for this one, for the supply hubs. They do come in a little bit handy, but they're not so important that you need to do that like early on and risk the war going before you are ready. And there we go. The Civil War has fired. So once you go over 90%, it's pretty much guaranteed. So if we unpause now, there we go. So you can see we have all of the territory which we previously secured. But the first thing we need to do is come over to Spain, modify the lend-lease, and you can see in terms of the equipment they've actually received, pretty much nothing. So we're actually going to clear all. There we go. All of that equipment is back in our stockpile. At this point, you've got a bunch of different stuff going on. You're going to have all of these random divisions pop up. What you want to do is you don't want to delete them or try to move them. Leave them there, maintain their org. What they're going to do is occupy Soviet divisions and basically distract them from coming over to the front line over here. Now, these ones that are a little bit closer to the front line, it's definitely worth reconnecting them and linking them up. What you're going to do now is select the rest of your troops and draw a Field Marshal frontline order and just have everyone on aggressive attack. you want all of your troops just to rush to the front line and advance as far as possible. Now, select whatever divisions are close to the front or close to these states and get them, just manually right click. So yeah, basically they'll just automatically take that up. And then for your focus, you can go for probably call to aid first and then aristocratic investments. This does give you military factories, but this will actually get you volunteers from Italy and Germany. And then come into your templates, find this one that's a 6 width, make it 8 width. And then what you want to do is train as many as humanly possible. Might even just change the icon to make that a bit easier. And then you'll get these things pop up. So partisans join in the uprising. And then at this point, you can also deploy your air force. Of course, you have those too. But the other thing you want to do is just come through to your front line and micro these divisions to just take as much land as possible before the Soviets get here. Your divisions here are now at 10%, and you can even just queue up a whole bunch more. Now, the German-Soviet treaty, this stuff is up to you if you want to do it or not. I do, just for the research boost. And we have more divisions that we can deploy. This is something I'm guilty of. I forgot, because you delete all of your production, it doesn't automatically start up again. Get those factories, just put them all on guns. Infantry equipment is the most important thing while you're doing this. With your political power, it's also worth saving up for limited conscription before you do anything else. Also, you should be able to like motorize your army pretty well. You don't have a lot of like attack strength. So what you want to do is just go along your front line and micro your troops through any gaps. Just basically make breakthroughs and use that as much as you can. This is what's going to happen once you start taking territory. The enemy will desert. That's basically going to just give you a bunch of random divisions, which you can then assign to your front line. That's not connected. Okay, cool. Don't forget to connect your capital to the rest of the country. One thing worth mentioning too, if you can actually get encirclements going, then go for it. Nationalist Uprising in Karelia, if that's how you pronounce it. So you have two options. You can either ally them, or you can simultaneously declare war on them. And I would always recommend doing this because eventually, like Ukraine, Armenia, they're all going to start rising up. And you don't want to be losing that much land. So declare war on them. To reclaim them later is such a headache and it takes so long. So just declare on them every time they come up. But it's also going to distract the Soviets as well. Even if it leaves gaps in your front, like you've got the number advantage here. So you really need to capitalize on any gaps you can find. All right, look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so like maybe 8 or 9 of Soviet divisions in here. Cool, so at this point, you've pretty much done all of these focuses, and you want to do this one too, so that way once you take Moscow, you can start down this tree to get the Tsar back. Russia is pretty powerful once you go down the Romanov reconstitution and do some of these ones, so, or even these focuses, like these get your stability and war support really high. The other thing you want to do is get your research slots, so make sure you come down and do these techs. It's kind of like a normal Russia game from then on, you just want to build up, but as soon as you have the opportunity to do these focuses, definitely take them. At this point, we're also going to start researching tank technology. If you take a bit of a look along your front line, you'll notice that even though you've got your divisions on an aggressive battle plan and there's no one in front of them, they're still not pushing in to take all this territory. At this point as well, I basically just, instead of taking, obviously you don't necessarily need to take every single like state or territory or whatever, but I pretty much just get my divisions to move up and secure whatever victory points are closest to them. Ideally, you do want to take Moscow before like Ukraine or anyone else can too. Just means that when you go to choose your capital, you actually have Moscow as an option. So the main thing is that you take Ankara and Moscow because they're the ones you need. There we go. We still have the option to puppet them. Now that they're gone, we need to put a front line here, take out Ukraine. We're also going to have to put some of these divisions down here. And then with these divisions, we'll put them all up on the north around Karelia, or however you say it. All right, here we go. So you get the option to change the capital. I personally would leave it as Moscow because all of your infrastructure and like railways and stuff already center out of Moscow to reach everywhere. And let's de-Stalinize everything as well. Why not? And there goes Ukraine. We'll just mop up the last bit of resistance here. And there we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is how you do the Russian Civil War. That pretty much is the most optimal way I've found of doing it. So if you find something different, let me know in the comments. Thank you everyone for watching. This video turned out to be a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, so I appreciate you sticking through it. I'm going to upload the achievement part of it next week in a separate video. So yeah, thanks to everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe. I do stream on Twitch as well, and feel free to check out my other videos too. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.